Today I'm going to show you the Irish coffee recipe that won me 2 world championships and how I applied this to make a unique and I think delicious drink called the Caribbean Irish coffee. Hey everyone and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, this channel is all about coffee and cocktails and everything in between. And I actually spent a long time competing in coffee and cocktail competitions, culminating in becoming the 2-time World Coffee and Good Spirits champion. The World Coffee and Good Spirits Championship is the world's leading coffee cocktail competition where national champions from all over the world come together to compete for the title of world champion. In the finals of the competition, you have to make an Irish coffee, which can be a big challenge. You can be kind of safe with this, you can be very creative. And today I'm going to show you the recipe that I used actually both years. So giving away a little bit of a secret, I used the same base recipe both years I won the championships, and I just changed the ingredients to kind of find the flavor profiles that I was looking for using different whiskies, sugars, coffee and cream. So one of the years I created a sticky toffee Irish coffee, which was as good as it sounds. But today I'm going to show you my first world championship winning drink, which was equally delicious but completely different. Really tropical, called the Caribbean Irish coffee. And I've been so excited to share this with you guys. Giving you this base recipe means you can create your own perfect Irish coffees, find your own flavor profiles, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm very excited. So a classic Irish coffee contains whiskey, sugar, coffee, and cream. And these can be more traditional in flavor profile, kind of chocolatey, nutty, your kind of brown sugars. But this one's very, very different. This one tastes like grilled pineapple, toasted coconut, and vanilla cream, and it's very tasty. So with this, prep is very, very important, and that is going to be our first step. Within an Irish coffee, we've obviously got 2 different temperatures going on. The cold cream layered on top of the hot coffee and whiskey and sugar base. And it's really important that we have everything ready to go because time is very much of the essence to keep the cold things really, really cold and the hot things really, really hot, giving that really nice contrast between the temperatures and flavors. So we're gonna need our ingredients, 37.5 grams of good quality coffee. This wants to be a kind of tropical flavor profile, but I'll talk more about this in a second. You're gonna need some kind of brewing device. I'm going with a clever dripper, which again I'll talk about. And you're gonna need a rinsed filter paper in there and something to grind your coffee. We'll need whiskey, which is gonna be our base spirit, but you can choose any base spirit that you like. Again, I'll talk about that. A sugar of choice, I go with a 2-to-1 sugar syrup, and then a saline solution, which is optional, but highly recommended. And then for our Caribbean Irish coffee, I'm going with toasted coconut as our garnish, which I just freshly toasted using a blowtorch, but you can also do this in the pan. And then finally, we'll need our cream or plant-based alternative, and I'm going with the amazing Oatly Whippable Creamy Oat, which is my preference. I want this drink to be enjoyed by as many people as possible. A lot of people don't like dairy, so this is gonna be absolutely perfect today. Equipment-wise, this is all really simple stuff. I'll link it all in the description below, as well as the ingredients, but essentially use what you have and you should still get great results. So now we've got everything we need. I'm gonna give you that recipe that I used in both competitions. This recipe makes 2 servings. Obviously you can scale it up or down, depending on how many drinks you're making. We're gonna weigh out 200 grams of our cream or plant-based alternative. So I've got my Oatly Whippable Creamy Oat, and I'm gonna weigh this out into a flask, ready for later. We're gonna boil our kettle and mine's actually ready to go on hold. And we just wanna take a little bit of this water to preheat our mixing glass, because as I said before, the hot ingredients really do want to be nice and warm. And then for the same reasoning, I'm gonna warm up my 2 glasses, ready to go for later. Now while our prep's done, we can move on to step 2, which is brewing our coffee. To brew the coffee element of the drink, obviously we need to grind our coffee to around about a medium grind size. That was a workout. When it comes to choosing a brewer, I like to go with a clever dripper when I can, because it's got a really nice balance between the body you get from immersing the coffee and the water together, but also the clarity you get from the filter paper. But you can use a cafetiere for this, that works really well. You can even use like an Americano, so espresso and hot water if you don't have a filter brewer, but essentially whatever you have to make black coffee will work fine, so use that. The recipe I always go with is 450 grams of water, and this wants to be pretty much just about boiling, so 96 degrees is fine. And then to that, I'm gonna go 37.5 grams of our coffee. So obviously just bear in mind if you have a smaller brewer that doesn't have the capacity of a clever dripper, you might need to make 2 brews. So just gonna give this a good stir to mix the coffee and water together. And when choosing a coffee for this, as I said before, choose whatever coffee you like. But for the Caribbean Irish coffee, you want something that's tropical, maybe look for some flavor notes of kind of pineapple, mango, passion fruit, coconut. Maybe a natural process or some kind of anaerobic fermentation. And you want plenty of body in there because an Irish coffee needs to stand up to the whiskey and it needs plenty of body to do that. So this is an anaerobic natural process, really funky, really kind of process heavy. That's completely fine. That's what we're looking for in here. We want tropical flavors. If this sounds a bit wild for your first Irish coffee, don't worry about that. You can go a little bit more traditional, choose a coffee with those kind of classic flavors of chocolate and nuts. It'll also be a great drink, but it'll be completely different to this one. So while this steeps, I'm just gonna move it to one side, well out of my way, so I don't knock it over, while we make the base of our Irish coffee. Now we've got our tropical coffee brewing, we can start building the base of our Irish coffee. And this is where you want to really complement the flavors of the coffee. So first of all, ditch the water from your really nicely warmed mixing glass, and then we're going to add 50 mils of our base spirit. Obviously, a classic Irish coffee would be Irish whiskey, but I like to break the rules sometimes. So you can use whiskies from other parts of the world, you can even use different spirits, and a kind of cheats way to get this tropical flavor profile would be simply to use rum. But for this version of the Caribbean Irish coffee, I'm going to keep it somewhat traditional and go with an Irish whiskey, which is actually finished in Caribbean rum casks. And this does a really good job of bringing those really nice, sweet, tropical fruit flavors. In the World Championships, I actually blended whiskies together to really pinpoint the flavor profile I was looking for, but this is much more open. Use 50 mils of your base spirit, and as long as it's at 40% ABV, it should work really nicely. Just experiment with different flavor profiles, have fun, and don't worry about it. We're gonna go 30 mils of our sweetener of choice, and again, as long as this is a 2-to-1 sugar syrup, it should give a really nice level of sweetness to the drink. Obviously you can adjust it up and down based on your personal preferences. And this is again, really inspired by the tropical flavor profile we're looking for. So to make this is really, really simple. It's actually an equal part syrup, 1 part light muscovado sugar, which brings those kind of toffee-like butterscotchy notes, 1 part of coconut sugar, which although it is a tropically inspired ingredient, doesn't have that fresh coconut flavor. It's more of a toasted coconut, which comes through really nicely in the drink. And then 1 part of boiling water, mix it all together to dissolve the sugars into the water, and that's our sweetener in the drink. Again, you can experiment with different sugars and sweeteners to really fine-tune the flavor profile you're looking for. We've got 1 gram of saline solution, made with 1 part salt, 5 parts water, which although it's not in a traditional Irish coffee, and also not allowed in the competition, just brings everything together really nicely. You won't taste the salt in there, but it just makes the whole drink pop a little bit. And whenever I'm allowed to use salt, pretty much I always do, because I think it works so well in almost every drink. And now that's built, we can just drop our brewed coffee straight on top of it, while we prepare our Oatly whippable creamy oat. As you might have gathered from this channel, I'm all about making drinks as accessible for as many people as possible. Double cream obviously doesn't do that for a lot of people, whereas Oatly whippable creamy oat is perfect as an alternative. And I actually think it's a better option because there's no compromise on flavor, it's very neutral, gives an amazing texture, and a lot more people can enjoy it. So this is my go-to when it comes to Irish coffees. And as a little tangent, I do think that since the Barista Championships now allow plant-based milk for the milk-based course, that the Coffee and Good Spirits Championship should really allow plant-based alternatives to cream, open it up for a lot more people, and I think this is the perfect option in order to do that. So the Oatly whippable creamy oat can be used in place of double cream whenever you see it called for in a recipe. There's also the Oatly single creamy oat, which works in place of single cream. So whenever you're looking for something creamy, look no further than these products. I genuinely always have them in my fridge, whether that's for cooking or for cocktails. They just work really well, and a big thanks to Oatly for sponsoring this video. So now we're gonna whip up our alternative to cream, which is in here. I've got exactly 200 grams, and I know that by counting my shakes, I can get the perfect texture every time. So with dairy cream, we're looking at around about 40 to 60 shakes. With our Oatly creamy oat, we're gonna look for 80 shakes, and this should layer perfectly on the drink. And now that's shaken up, I like to just pass it through a fine sieve, just to pop any bubbles that might be in there. To finish the drink, we just want to stir our base, just so the sugar's fully mixed through it. Gonna ditch the water from our serving glasses, and then we can serve up our Caribbean Irish coffees. Starting with our whiskey, coffee, sugar, and saline, which is really nice and hot. Smells absolutely amazing. And leave just around about 1 centimeter from the top your cream to float on top of. Get rid of the sieve, and then just very carefully layer it on top of the drink. You shouldn't even need a spoon if it's perfectly whipped. And it's really smooth. I'm gonna do our second one. And to finish the drink, a little aromatic helper, which also looks pretty cool, is this, which is our toasted coconut. So this was just blowtorched a little bit earlier. Gonna sprinkle it on on top of the drink. It looks really, really nice. And there we have one of my proudest ever creations, the Caribbean Irish coffee. So there we go, the Caribbean Irish coffee. Looks pretty stunning to me. Gonna give it a try. Cheers. It really is just super tropical. The first sip's like vanilla cream and butterscotch and soft sweet mango. Going back in for a second sip. Pineapple, coconut, all the tropical fruits. It's just so delicious, coffee forward, well balanced, and I really like it. So I really hope you give this a try. I really enjoy experimenting with Irish coffees, different whiskies, different spirits even, different coffees, different sweeteners. There are so many different flavor profiles you find, so experiment and have some fun with it. I'll leave some more videos for you to watch on screen, just here and here. And if you've enjoyed this and you enjoy coffee or cocktails or even both, you might want to consider subscribing, which you can do by clicking just here. So I really hope you enjoy these. Thanks to Oatly for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna go back to this. Cheers.